Welcome to the Epcotian Adventure,
a podcast where we'll talk about all things Disney,
including tips and tricks, festivals and favorites, and the very latest in news and reviews.
But we're still old enough to remember when taking a Disney cruise meant going around Tom Sawyer's Island.
This is episode 17, our trip aboard the Disney Wish, part 2.
Or, man, can we talk a lot about cruising.
So now, please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast as we embark on our Epcotian Adventure. Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 17 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And now we're going to be following up on last episode with part 2 of what we did aboard the Disney Wish.
Who knew there was so much to say about one little cruise, right?
This originally was one episode, but we've been talking for over 2 hours.
There's just so much information, and we don't want to cut it short just for sake of time. We want to get all this information out to you guys. Because if you are planning a Disney cruise, and if you're a Disney adult, you should, because they're amazing. We want you to know these things.
Yep, so here we go, episode 17 and part 2 of what we did on the Disney Cruise Line, the Disney Wish.
Let's move on to entertainment.
Yay. I love the entertainment.
So we already talked about Matt, and we definitely want to recommend going to see him play. That's one thing that we want to call out. But also, the thing that everybody looks forward to on a Disney cruise is Pirate Night.
Pirate Night is awesome. They do a pirate band.
It's a full-on rock show.
Yeah.
It's a rock concert.
It's followed then by fireworks at around 10:30. They try to plan it so that the fireworks are available after people come out of the 8:15 dinner seatings. Fireworks are visible from all over the ship, but usually from the top decks or where everybody goes. Here's a little fun fact. Deck 4 outside has a jogging track that goes all the way around. This is where you're going to want to go if you don't want to be up with the loud music and all the kids, or if you're traveling somebody who has sensory issues.
Or if you're crazy introverts like us.
Yes. We went down to deck 4, walked out, and watched the fireworks with a very small crowd.
And by crowd, he means like 3 other people. Like,
Yeah.
It was very few people down there. And it was awesome.
It was awesome.
And you have a great view. You can still hear the music, but it's not blaring. You're not surrounded by a bunch of people. I know a lot of people look forward to that energy and that immediacy of being in the crowd, and that's great. That is absolutely great. This is your time to go up and experience that. But if you are more like us and you want to still see the show without being in it, deck 4.
Now, again, the Pirate Night entertainment's fantastic. The band is great. The music's great. They do sing We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister.
That's kind of
For
weird.
some bizarre reason. I don't remember that being a pirate song. But the entertainment's fantastic.
And Jack Sparrow makes an appearance. I won't spoil that, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you're there with your kids or if you're there for the first time and you like dressing like a pirate, go for it. Again, from the older Disney adult scene like us, go down to deck 4, watch the fireworks, go back up, grab a drink, and go back to the room and go to bed early. You know, that's how I party. Woohoo!
Woo! But everybody does dress up at least a little bit. I just had a t-shirt made again on Etsy that was special for the Pirate Night and had some boots that I threw on. It was very minimalistic. Some people go full out with pirate costumes. It runs the whole gamut. But it's really fun to participate. I also do want to mention that some of the characters will appear, and they will also be in piratical costumes.
Yeah, Pirate Minnie rocks.
I'll have to post that
She was
picture.
cool.
The character meet and greets, well, we'll just segue into that because we do want to talk about that. There are meet and greets that happen every single day. Those times are in the app. They don't tell you who they're dressed as, like if they're in their classic gear or nautical gear, or on the cruise we were on their Christmas gear. They don't give you those hints, but they do tell you when they're making appearances. So we didn't wait to meet a bunch of the characters, but we did get in line early to meet Pirate Minnie because she was adorable.
She was so cool.
I also want to mention that Disney Cruise, if you're on a 4-night, there will be a pirate menu. If you're on a 3-night, there's not a pirate menu because of the rotational dining. You're going to experience the menu for each of those nights. So, other activities on board. There, like we hinted at before, there is trivia on board. We did the Disney Quotes trivia. This one was weird because it left literally the entire room completely baffled. These quotes were so obscure. We are Disney aficionados. We love Disney films, we love Disney characters, we love Disney music.
We talk in Disney quotes.
All the time. So to have an entire room full of other Disney fans and all of us looking at each other like literally I think there were like 2 quotes that somebody knew.
Well, even the cast member that was reading these is like, I know nothing of any of these.
It was so weird. Like, I get that you want to do like higher level trivia when you're on a Disney cruise and you're doing Disney trivia. I get that.
Yeah, you don't want to hold up a picture of Mickey Mouse and go, who is this?
Right.
Everybody wins. Yay!
Yay! Participation award.
But I think the person that won got 6 out of 25.
Something like that.
I mean, it was
crazy.
Really odd.
So anyway.
However,
the other one that we did was the Disney music trivia.
We smashed it.
Yeah, we did. Now, we love Disney music, as you may have guessed. It's kind of our thing. So when this was with Matt, the famous Matt Greinke, and he would play a snippet of the song, and that was it.
And he'd see us singing along to everything.
Yeah, we got there late, so we ended up sitting on the floor, like right in front of the piano. We were probably annoying him so much, but it was really fun. So yeah, we nailed this one.
But I mean,
totally won.
They even played a song by or from the film or the play Newsies, and I think we were the only ones who got that one.
There were several of them that we were the only ones who got it, and I didn't think they were that hard. But
no, I didn't think so either. And the nice thing was 24 to 25. Thank you very much.
And we have the trophy to prove it.
So
there were other trivias. There was Star Wars trivia and Marvel trivia and
sports trivia. Yay.
Like all kinds of things.
Yay, team, score points.
So again, check out the app because those times and locations are in there. And there's also bingo, which is an upcharge. We did not do that one this time. We tend to do that when we're on family cruises, but we didn't do it this time.
If you're not familiar with Disney cruises, this is something that's going to be a very big shock to you. There's no casino on board. The only gaming on board the boat, or boats, plural, this is all of the cruise line, is bingo. And it's only a couple of times. So if you are on board and you're like, hey, great, the kids are going to do their stuff, I'm going to go play slot machines. You ain't gonna do it. You can get off at Nassau and take a $300 shuttle ride over to the casino at Paradise Island, but no, this is not a cruise for you if you like to play poker or slot machines or craps.
Bring your own chips, start a game.
Exactly, bring dice and cards and, knock yourself out.
They also have game shows and stuff that you can participate in. Those mostly take place in the Luna Lounge. And those are all, again, in the app, so just take a look at those.
The Luna Lounge is pretty cool. It's a 2-story theater, and it actually has things that go on all the time with different shows and different events, but they also have their own bar back there. It's one of the lesser-known bars because it's towards the back of the ship.
That's also, if you're going to go to the Keg and Compass, it's off the Luna Lounge, so you kind of have to go into the Luna Lounge and around, and then you find the Keg and Compass.
Keg and Compass is their kind of traditional pub. They do have pub food.
And it's a sports bar. If you want to watch a game, that's where you're going to go.
Exactly. We were just talking about sports. If you want to see sports, that's the one place on board the ship.
There's also 2 movie theaters on board, the Neverland and the Wonderland. If you're not going to catch a movie, I still recommend stopping by and checking out the decor because it is so cute, especially Wonderland, because I'm a little biased and I love Alice in Wonderland.
And if you want popcorn.
Yes.
Each side of the ship by the theaters have their own little popcorn stands, and you can get popcorns in a souvenir bucket and candy bars and things like that. They're also available most of the day, which is really nice.
Now, like we said before, the sodas are included. However, if you buy them at the popcorn stand, it's in a can and you will pay for it. So it's a little strange. So bring
weird.
Your own drink.
Yeah. The films do run all day long, and they do run everything from G through R-rated films, so you have to be careful if you're traveling with your kids. Make sure to go into the correct theater to see the correct movie at the correct time, but they're all posted in the app. They do show first-run films. They actually were showing the current film when we went for the Christmas season.
Yeah, when we went, Wakanda Forever was just opening, and they were showing that. Now, the theaters are very small. So if you want to see a movie that's first run like that, you have to get there very, very early in order to get a seat.
One of the best things theater-wise, though, is the main theater. The Walt Disney Theater at the front of the boat is spectacular.
Now, this is where all the live shows are. So the way the dinner schedule works is you're on early or late dinner, which means that you can go to the early or late show. So everybody can see the show and have a dinner time. So you want to go to the opposite if you want to catch the shows. We ended up catching just the first one, and that was actually by choice, but we'll get into that. So the one that we saw was the welcoming show, and it was called Disney Sees the Adventure. So SEAS, little word pun for you there.
A little bit of everything with Disney, though. It had different film pieces and different show sets, and it really took advantage of the modern technology that you see in the theaters. They use projection mapping even on the walls surrounding the stage for the different shows.
It's very, very Disney based. It's an original show. It's Goofy takes over for Captain Minnie so that he can run the ship and he learns to follow his heart. It's very, 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 very special. Super cute. There's so many Disney characters that make an appearance. And they do some mashups of the songs that are... I was in tears. It was absolutely a magical, magical way to start your vacation. So I highly recommend, if you're not going to catch anything else, catch that first welcoming show. The other two that played while we were on board were The Little Mermaid and Aladdin.
Now, if you know our history, Sue is an assistant stage manager for Aladdin at Disney California Adventure. So we were busy that day. We didn't get to see that one.
It's been 15 years, maybe almost 20 years since I worked there. And I'm just now to the point where I don't break out in hives when I hear friends like me. But definitely recommend the theater. Grab some popcorn in the hall, go in, grab a drink, enjoy the show. Okay, so now we're up to Ports of Call.
Ports of Call. So day one, when you board the ship, you leave Port Canaveral and head out onto the open sea and anchors away and
ahoy,
and then you sit on your balcony with a beverage and go look at the water go by. It's great. It's actually very, very, very calm usually between there and Nassau, which is day one.
I was gonna say sitting there watching the ocean is one of our favorite
it's
things
one of the
to
favorite
do
things
in the
to
world,
do.
so...
I'm not saying it was boring. I'm saying it was very relaxing. That was one thing about this cruise that just struck me is it seemed like even over other cruises, this one had more relaxation time for me.
And I think that's because we cruised on our own. We weren't trying to meet up with people. We weren't trying to entertain kids. It was just us. And so it was whatever we wanted to do. And a lot of times that was just grabbing a drink and watching the ocean go by.
So we reached Nassau on day one. And a lot of people got off the ship early and went in and did the port things you do in Nassau. We've been to Nassau, I can't even count how many times, so we stayed on board and took advantage of the nice, quiet boat with the nice, quiet Marceline's for lunch.
And we also took advantage of a nice, quiet queue to do the Aqua Mouse.
Aqua Mouse was amazing. They call it the first attraction at sea, even though there are the Aqua Duck and the other Aqua Duck. But the Aqua Mouse... As you get on board your little inflatable raft and head out onto not the open seas, thank heavens, but into the water slide, it takes you up a long enclosed hill that has video. Two different, actually, scenarios. One is based on Yodelberg, which is really fun.
These are the new Mickey Mouse cartoons.
As you start up the lift, there are video displays on both sides until you get to the top. And you get squirted with water, and you kind of get an idea that you're on more of a ride, more of a dark ride, actually. But then you start going through the water coaster elements that the Aqueduct is famous for. It has all of the elements of the Aqueduct, including the videos, so that's why they call it the first attraction at sea.
Now, we've heard that for the Aqueduct, which we haven't experienced yet, that you have to carry your own mat or your own raft up the hill and climb up the stairs. This is none of that because it takes you up that hill magically in the little raft. So we enjoyed that very, very much. I would highly recommend making sure that you do this when you're on board.
Maybe if you're not on an Alaska cruise, though. That might be a little frosty.
I would still do it.
Well, it was fun.
If it's an option, I'll do it. It was so much fun.
I think in the middle of the day, even in Nassau, we still waited about 30 minutes to get on. So it can get a lengthy queue during the day, but it runs most of the day and into the evening.
And again, the hours are not in the app. So Disney, are you listening? That would be very, very helpful to have those hours available.
It does have a height requirement, though. So be aware of that if you have small kids, that they may not be able to ride that.
Very good tip. And I also want to mention that even if you have your phone in one of those little waterproof cases that you can wear on your neck, You cannot film on board because there's so much YouTube videos out there. I assumed that you could if your phone was protected, and you can't. You have to put it in one of the little cubby holes that's right there. So just know that when you go in. So that was our Nassau day.
Day 2 was
Castaway Cay.
Castaway Cay is Disney's first private island. Lighthouse Point will be the one that actually is coming online later. Don't know the exact opening time for that yet.
Yeah, I
Sometime
haven't heard that yet.
late 23, 24 down the road. Right now, all of the boats will stop at Castaway Cay that go to the Bahamas, though. And of the private islands I've been to, it's my favorite.
Oh, far and away.
It's not as energetic as a lot of islands in that it doesn't have big water slide towers or zip lines.
Well, here's the thing. It does have stuff. Well, it doesn't have zip lines, but
Right.
it does have interactive things that you can do. We just skip them.
Right.
So you can take a tram over to the main beach. You can walk to the main beach. But if you take the second tram, it takes you to the adults only area.
It's Serenity is what it is. It is an adults-only area that's really actually the furthest point you can go with the beaches. There are other hiking and biking trails that you can go that go even further, but this is where the cabanas are. So if you've rented a cabana for the same price as you paid for the cruise, they're not cheap. This is where you would go for those. And the beaches there are generally uncrowded or less crowded than the family beaches. They have a restaurant. They have cookies too, so they have the same grab-and-go food with the burgers, the hot dogs, the chicken strips, the magical chicken strips.
Very much cookout food.
Yeah, cookout food. They also have the bar, and they have a little shop there where you can rent floaties. And
If you've rented a floaty ahead of time in the app, which is what we did, you can pick it up at Serenity. So you don't have to pick it up at the first beach and take it with you on the tram. You can pick it up at the adults-only beach.
yeah, we ended up sitting on the beach for quite a while with a painkiller in one hand and what should have been sunscreen in the other. I got fried, but it was so much fun. And then we took some time out into the bay and floated on some floaties. Just note that they're really hard to steer.
Yet you're not supposed to steer them.
Now I know.
Yet you
Yeah.
don't do that. You just go with the flow. You got your drink, you close your eyes, you feel the motion of the ocean.
Yeah, I
Oh,
should
it
have
was
tried
the
that.
most-
Anyway, Sue ended up going back out into the ocean. I sat there with another painkiller, and yeah, I was in heaven.
It was really nice. I love being in the water, and the water was nice and calm where we were. It's like roped off section, so you're not getting a bunch of jet skis going by and boats and all that kind of stuff.
One thing to note that if a rainstorm or a thunderstorm comes in, which frequently happens in this part of the Bahamas, the trams will shut down. Be very aware that if you see a storm coming in, go back, get on the tram, and head back to the main part of the park or the island, or you're walking it during the thunderstorm. So just be aware of that.
So if you are planning to snorkel, you can rent the gear there. You can bring your own, either one. But that is at the main beach, at the family beach. The reason it's a thing at Castaway Cay is there are things that are hidden in the water. So you can go and you can find Dumbo vehicle from the ride. You can find a Minnie down there. You can find the Eric statue
Yeah,
that Little
from Little
Mermaid
Mermaid.
finds. There's all kinds of things to do, like your own scavenger hunt out there. So it is super fun, but that is at the main beach, not at the adults beach.
They do also, if you want to get up early, have a 5K that you can participate in on the old runway that's there.
We did not do that.
We did not do that.
I know,
no.
everybody's shocked.
But they do tend to get to the island very early in the morning. If you are up early enough, you can actually watch it come in and dock. And just be aware that it is part of the Bahamas. It's not part of the U.S. So you actually walk through a mini customs entry portal, I guess you could call it, as you get off the boat.
Like you would at any port.
Right. So you still need to make sure that you have your sail and sign card with you to get on and off the boat.
And I do want to mention, there's no need to rope drop. Like, you don't have to get off the boat as soon as you're able to. There were plenty of chairs. We had a nice breakfast at the buffet and then got off the boat. You don't tender or anything. You just walk right off. So it's very, very easy to get on and off. But I do want to mention that if you want to meet any of the characters in their Castaway Cay beach gear, you do want to get there a little earlier because they do pack up and go home, I think about 11. They go back on the boat.
As it gets hotter and hotter, they do let the characters not fry in the sun, thank heavens.
No, we took time and met Captain Jack Sparrow, and it was an amazing interaction. It was so much fun.
It was the real Jack Sparrow.
Well, of course it was.
He
We were in
w-
the Bahamas. Who else would it be?
No, I mean, it wasn't even Johnny Depp. It was the real Jack Sparrow.
It was Jack Sparrow.
He was in the Bahamas. He was a pirate. It was the real Jack Sparrow.
It was so fun. So we do recommend that you take time to do that if that's something you're interested in. Even as adults, it was so much fun.
Food on the island is included. They have cookies at the family beach, and they have cookies too over at the adults-only beach. Mostly barbecue. They do have some vegetarian options as well, and salads and sodas and everything. But
they also have a soft serve machine that sometimes has a wild card flavor.
Yeah.
When we were there, they had banana soft serve.
It was really good.
So take a look at that, because you could find something new.
But note that they do close early.
Yes.
Both locations do not stay open as long as you're on the island, and will close early because the cast members need time to clean up and get everything back to the boat. After we left Castaway Cay, we ended up back in Florida. So if you're on the 4-day, you would end up with a day at sea, which gives you the opportunity to do all of the things on board that you missed when you were in Nassau or Castaway Cay.
And note, if you plan to do brunch at Palos, that is the day that books up the fastest. So if you're on a 4-day,
book as soon as you can.
Book as soon as you can. So that's sort of the gist of everything that we did on board and on the private island. Our take going as Disney adults, not with children, on a Disney cruise. Rod, what's your overall takeaway?
My overall takeaway was, after being on other cruise lines and kind of weighing the two, or putting the two side by side, is this a cruise that is for everybody? No. I looked at this as a very relaxing Disney experience. And what I mean by that is it really did feel like an extension of the Disney theme parks. It had the characters, it had the music, it had the food, it had the ambiance of being at a Disney resort and park, kind of all in one. What I took away from that, though, is this cruise for everybody? No. I think as a Disney adult, oh, yes, you have to do this at least once. It's not cheap, folks. If you're going to do this, you're going to pay for it. But as a Disney enthusiast, a Disney adult, you got to do it.
I'm going to fully agree with that. We have talked for years and years and years about doing a Disney cruise. We were always outvoted when it came to cruising time, mainly by Dad. Our dad just flat out refused to spend the money to do a cruise with a mouse. So we never did it with Mom and Dad because of that. But looking back now that we've done one, he was absolutely right. He would have been miserable. All of those things that we love, having the Disney music in the hallways, having the character meet and greets all throughout the ship, having every single dinner be something that's themed for Disney. We thought it was the be-all, end-all of the cruising situation because it combines that Disney magic with the carefree attitude of being on a cruise. But some adults, like our father, were not made for that. And that's fine. That is absolutely fine. It doesn't have to be for everybody.
Now, is it worth the money? That was another thing that I really looked at and really took me off guard, was the pricing. We were scheduled originally to go on the third cruise on the Disney Wish. We were really
back
part
in
of
July of 2022.
Yeah,
we were supposed to go.
One of the inaugural cruises. Thank heavens they considered the whole first year inaugural cruises, so we still got some of the merchandise when we went. But because of COVID, things got delayed, and we ended up getting canceled for our cruise, which immediately sent us into a whole Plan B. Again, if you're listening to the podcast,
always have
to the Plan B episode. What we did, though, is we looked at when we had PTO already still scheduled, which was Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And it worked out very nicely because there was still availability. So we moved our cruise to then, which would have been a higher cost cruise, but thank you, Disney. They gave us a 50% discount, and we were able to save money by going at a later date, and loved every minute of it.
They offered that to us. We didn't have to do anything. We never had to complain. We never had to worry. They just said, we're so sorry for the inconvenience. We've had to cancel your cruise. Please accept a 50% discount to rebook at any time. And we were blown away by that level of customer service right off the bat.
Again, that shows you what Disney does for their clients, for their loyal clientele and their fans.
Now, I also want to mention how this came about was a little bit of a unique situation because we were looking at doing the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. And we started looking at the pricing and we started looking at the experience, and we're like, well, you can't consider it a hotel. It's really more like a cruise where there's a set itinerary. And we're like,
long pause. Hey,
it's like a cruise.
We could do a cruise for less money. Oh my heaven. And then
And literally within minutes, we were booked on the Disney Wish.
Yeah.
So
Hence
that's kind of how we roll.
$1,000 brunch.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, we were willing to pay the amount, but getting to do it on a discounted rate made it even more worth it.
Yeah, and made it more budget friendly.
Yes.
Now, one thing to note, this is not a budget friendly cruise.
No.
For a family of 4, you're going to be spending a lot more money than you would even for a standard cruise on a suite. And on a lot of cruises, 4-7 nights. A 3-night and 4-night cruise are, I'm not even going to try to quote a price, but you need to make sure that you look at this and budget for it.
Even gonna...
Now, one way you can do this is to put down your deposit up to 2 years in advance. They're actually looking at cruises right now for 2025 already. But book with a reputable travel agent so that you can make payments towards it on a regular basis. Most all travel agents will let you make a scheduled payment, and you can actually then budget for it a lot easier than just trying to take out a loan against your home to do this. Because, yeah, it ain't cheap. One thing to note, too, is if you are not booking through a travel agent, you can make payments through the app, just like you can with a travel agent. But I would recommend using a good travel agent, as they're going to be able to watch the prices for you and get you things that you not necessarily would be able to get just booking on your own.
I do also want to mention, we ended up going at Thanksgiving, like I said. This was a Christmas-themed cruise. We were there, actually, we boarded the day after Thanksgiving. Now, as far as doing a Christmas cruise, this was a very Merry Christmas cruise. Rod, what did you think of the overall Christmas aspect?
Well, it was fun to walk in mid-November and already see the Christmas tree up and hear some of the Christmas music that they played in the lobby along with the Disney tunes. And it just actually was a great way to start the holidays off right.
I so agree. We spent Thanksgiving Day at Epcot and then got on the very next day and it was Christmas immediately. So that was really fun to get to spark off the holidays that way. There were some Christmas-themed activities on board as well. Mm-hmm. These were mostly for children. There was a Santa meet and greet. There was story time with Mrs. Claus.
Making ornaments.
Yes, yeah. Ornaments. They had a tree lighting ceremony. This was really cool. It was very, very crowded because they only did it once. That was not my jam. But I watched it from one of the upper balconies. It was still super crowded, but it was a lot more doable. So you'll also see some of the characters dressed up in Christmas costumes.
So, merchandise.
Yeah.
There was several stores. The big one is Mickey's Mainsail, and it was the emporium of the boat, and they did have the inaugural shirts and things and ornaments, which was really nice.
And ears.
That is the logo shop. They also had a watch store and upscale purse and
where you'll find Swarovski crystals,
right.
And you can get an X-wing made of crystals. You can get your Coach purses and your Kate Spade and all those high-end things that I know Rod just knows all the names of.
I have no idea what you're talking about. They had a store up on one of the top decks by the pool that had the bathing suits and the towels and all that. You have to look for that one. And again, very odd store hours with that one. And
also know if you're in a port, all these stores are closed.
Very, very good point. And that's because of tax laws and things of that nature. However, when you get on the Castaway Cay, there are a couple of stores that also have Castaway Cay themed merchandise, and thank heavens they have flip-flops.
Yes.
Because I didn't buy any or take any ahead of time, and I don't know why I didn't, but I bought some there. One thing to note is all of the cruise ships, including Disney, are cashless. So you will be using your sail and sign card to also open your door, but to also make purchases with on board.
And turn on your lights. They have a little slot to put it in and turn the power on, basically. That's becoming more and more prevalent on cruise ships nowadays. And if you've ever traveled to Europe, you know what I'm talking about in the hotel rooms. Later this year, they're going to be also doing a Disney wristband, which will be available on the cruise ships starting sometime later in this year. And it'll work like a magic band in the parks, where you can use it to open your door and you can use it to make purchases. Yeah. And that was one of our main complaints when we got on board, was that you could use your magic band at the parks and then not use it on the ship. So they are fixing that. Now, this was a ton of information, everybody. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. If you would like to share something that is your own experience, please let us know. There are tons of things that we did not get to do on board. 3 days goes very, very quickly. So we still have a list of things that we want to accomplish the next time we go. And hopefully that won't be very much longer, because we had a great, great time and would love to repeat.
Before we go, I'd like to give a big shout out to our friend Andy at the Palm Springs Linguist for his support and advice. You can find Andy's Disney and linguist-based vlog and podcast on YouTube. And as always, thank you, Phoenicians.
Thank you, Phoenicians.
The Epcotian Adventure is a $1,000 brunch production. A big thanks to our social media coordinator, Riley Piper, audio engineers Joey Humphrey and Paul Trett, graphic designer Evan Piper. Our theme music is by Patrick Rowan and is licensed through Pond5.
And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review. It really does help people find us.
Thanks for joining us for episode 17 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And we'll see you in line.
Bye. The mysterious comments below.
Why can't I talk today?
It'll be worth it. It's fine.
Here we go. And it blows water up your butt as you go up the hill and you go into this.
I must
into
have
the
missed
dark
that
tunnel.
part.
I was the one in back. Trust me. It whew, cleans you right out. Yeah, it's we don't need to talk about that. I'm going to edit that out.
Let's please.